Test, test. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here this morning. This very important gathering of community leaders from across the state of New Mexico. Secretary John Burrell is here this morning. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Speaker Raymond Sanchez is here somewhere. I saw him. Thank you for being here. New Mexicans have a history of coming together to preserve things that are important to our state, particularly around economic stability. Almost 20 years ago, Central New Mexico came together to save Kirtland Air Force Base. 10 years ago, the folks over on the eastern side of the state came together and worked to save Cannon Air Force Base. Today, this gathering really is about saving Spaceport America, giving New Mexico as a state an opportunity to participate in space enterprise during this century. As this new millennium has come into being, New Mexico was in the forefront when it came to space enterprise. Since then, perhaps we've hit a little bit of a plateau and are not moving forward as aggressively as we might. Today, this is a coalition that's come together to talk about what needs to be done in the state of New Mexico to ensure that Spaceport America is a success. There's several people from the coalition that are on the stage. They will speak briefly in just a few minutes. But first, let me mention this is being streamed wirelessly this morning. So we are live. We're going to have a short video, I think, is that right? And we'll start with that, and after that we'll have some speakers. With video, please.
This simulated commercial spaceflight has people from all over the world looking for their chance to take off. And New Mexico is leading the way with the nation's first commercial spaceport, Spaceport America. While there is some worry about the spaceport's remoteness from a large population center, Mark Butler of Virgin Galactic says New Mexico is a prime location.
And I think also the location that Spaceport has and the environs within which it's located is really important. The clear airspace, the other facilities that are in proximity, such as White Sands Missile Range.
Even though he says the location is good, proponents say state law needs to change. A concern that companies have before anybody takes one of these suborbital spacecrafts into orbit is the lack of law in New Mexico that would limit their liability. If there is an accident on a spaceflight, the state does have an informed consent law which protects the major operators, like Virgin Galactic, from being sued. But other companies are not protected.
However, the people that supply them with equipment and supplies and all the things that are necessary are not protected under New Mexico law.
Governor Susana Martinez says expanding the informed consent law is important to keep New Mexico competitive with other states.
We need to make sure is that the legislature understands how important it is to pass laws that don't restrict other tenants from coming to Spaceport America.
State Senator Mary Kay Papin says the expanded informed consent law is written and ready for discussion in the next legislative session. Zach Rael, News 22.
We now have let me say, we do want this to be very informal, and we're going to take questions in just a few minutes. But before we do that, rather than me introducing them and going through their extensive bio, we're just going to start on one side of the stage and go to the other and ask each speaker to identify themselves and why they're involved in this coalition and why it's so important to save Spaceport America. So if we could begin over here.